Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. So in this video, we're putting the car into body fill. Oh joy, board filing. Um, yeah, so we're kind of finessing the metal a little bit, getting some high spots knocked down, and then putting some fiberglass on it, then filler over that. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So stick with me. We'll get into that. I appreciate you watching and subscribing to the videos and the likes and the comments. It really means a lot to me. If you could subscribe to the video and keep on liking them, and I'd appreciate that. I think what are we, 195 subscribers. Holy moly, we are moving. So, yeah, if you guys could keep subscribing and I'll keep making videos, and let's get into it. Alright, so I'm just getting ready to put filler on all the panels, and there's a few spots that are all stretched out from previous repairs, people just smashing the metal in and filling it. So I'm going to try, I've got this Rachaline shrinking disc, so I'm going to try and run over this high spot here and shrink it back down just so I don't have to do a date edit, and I can just fill a nicer piece. It's not going to be all caved in. That's pretty good. See, the low spots where it's been knocked in, they're still down, but all the high spots got shrunk level with the rest of it around it. It's a pretty neat little tool. I haven't had it for long, so got a little bit down here. If you want to get really fancy with it, you can hammer and dolly this out and re-shrink and go over it a few times. We're not going to get that picky for this car. But yeah, now it's not all popped up, so that's going to make sanding a lot easier. We're not going to have the high spots popping through as much. The compressor's definitely not on, so I'm going to keep it on quick. Alright, compressor's on. I stripped this off. Yeah, so there's a big high spot there, a bunch of hammer marks. So what I'm going to do is I hit it with the stainless steel shrinking disc. Stainless steel is famous for not dispersing heat, unlike aluminum. So it's going to heat up all the high spots. Then you run the cold water over it on a rag, and that shrinks it down. Let's see how much, I don't know if you can see how kind of oil can you use. It really flexes in there. So there's a lot of steel. Might have to block or hammer some of it out because a lot of it's low. This might be stretched to the point where I should use a torch. So, but we'll see. It is getting better. Still has a little bit of a pop to it. So what I'm doing on the back side there is I'm holding the dolly block flat on a really flat surface. Over top of these I've got highs on either side, and I got lows. Was hitting it with like the face of the hammer. Wasn't really popping out, so just lightly take the pick and just poke her out. Don't hit hard, just kind of slowly massaging it out. So I'm noticing it's kind of smearing the that's way better though. It's smearing the epoxy primer across the high spots. So I'm gonna hit the surface of this quick with like 240, and then I'm gonna sand this off clean again. Do one more shrink and it should be good enough for filling. if you do get one of these shrinking discs, hold on one side. He says to just use a grinder, like not a variable speed one. This one is a variable speed one, which probably doesn't get quite as fast as just a straight grinder. So, but that's what I had, so that's what I'm using right now. And I may pick up a straight grinder just to get the speed up and a little bit more heat. But even with that, it seems to work all right. Like, it still flexes in, but the whole panel flexed in a little bit. That's definitely, you could definitely fill over that now. So here's pretty nasty. I'll carry on with this, and then maybe I'll bring you back when I start filling or doing something else. Alright, this video is a little all over the place. So I've been running I've just been kind of going around trying to get the car ready to put some filler on it. This back panel, I ran the shrinking disc over. I even took a torch to it quick and shrunk up a spot. I ran the shrinking disc down the quarter panel where I welded a couple little stretched parts, so just to kind of level it out. There's a little bit more at the back here, a couple little pinholes that I need to just weld up. I'll show you that. Yeah, so work on here. There's the 2 pinholes there I want to weld up. I gotta shrink this back part a little bit. I already hit this spot up here. But what I want to do right now is I put the door on. And got the body lines lined up pretty good. Gap not bad. This is where it's hit, eh? And but the quarter is sticking out probably like 1/8 of an inch. Like, it's good up here where it's factory, and then where the aftermarket quarter, it's all bubbled up. So what I want to do is take a zip cut like the width of the zip cut down this panel here, push it in and weld it up. And then I also, while it's cut, I might be able to kind of bring it ahead a little bit and get the gap closer to there, because it's a little big here. So that's what I'm going to work on now. Down here, I don't know if you see that. Lower you down. Yeah, so right here, this panel doesn't have as much shape as the door does. So when I cut it too, I want to kind of hammer and dolly it around a little bit just to get more defined body lines in there for when I'm filling. Won't be too bad, but yeah, see, it's level with the rocker. It's level up here. It's just this piece that I've put in. It's just a little, it's not made quite as good. So put a cut in here, hammer it in, hammer and dolly the edge from the inside the quarter to kind of close this gap up a little bit. Then I'll weld it back up, and we'll see what we got. All right, I think I already ran you through this, but I'll run you through it again. So I got the door gap decent on the rocker and decent on the top of the quarter here where it's factory. The door got hit pretty hard here, or like the pillar and the door got hit hard. And this aftermarket panel I put on, the gap is a little bit wide, and it's also the panel sticking out a little bit. So I'm just going to take a zip cut. I'm going to cut along the flange here, and I'm just going to push it in. I'm also going to try and get a little bit more shape on this body line down here because it needs it. I'm going to move the camera so I can shut the door and test it. But if that's alright, I'll put a tack there, because if I try and hammer this in, it's going to bow that back out. So, with you guys, that's not bad. as much nicer now. Gaps not quite as close, but I can cut that again if I need to. Might be able to get away with just doing a slight bit of filler on the flange there. This still has to go in quite a ways. There's a lot of material there. Camera fell over, but I'm still working on the same thing. Just trying to get these panels to line up a little bit better. So I intentionally let the panel get a little hot to see if I could shrink it by cooling down the welds once it was hot. I don't know if it necessarily worked, but it's worth a shot. Alright, so I cut the panel because I had some extra metal there to get it pushed in. Now I got a high spot, like a pucker here. I got too much steel. I'm gonna try and shrink it with a torch. It might be a little much to shrink, but we'll give her a go. Also, probably an actual oxy torch would be better. You get more heat quicker into a smaller spot, but this is what I That worked pretty good. It pulled in. I got a bit of a dimple there. I struggled to find the opening to the panel there, so. But I think if I hammer and dolly that out, that might not be too bad. Okay, so I used a torch. I got that shrunk decent. It's a little high over here. I'm gonna see about using that new shrinking disc I got to see what it can do. Might be a little much for this thing, but and also I don't know if I got a fast enough grinder for it. So, but we'll give her a shot and see what happens. I mean, it's okay. Like I said, I for one, I'm catching a little bit of the primer. But I don't know if I'm gonna spin it fast enough to shrink that much. I might try and do the torch again. Okay, I got this panel here, feeling pretty flat, definitely like fillable. Down here is not too bad, but this line, this body line, has got a hump in the middle of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut in the middle of that line, just enough to get it to where I can kind of hammer it in a touch. Alright, so I got this shrunk up to where I'm fairly happy that it can be filled. I had to put a couple cuts in it and to get it to sit flat. I did a couple little heat shrinks with the torch. It was just so much, like the door came in real flat and then the quarter panels just bubbled way up high, so I had to get it tucked in a fair bit, but I'm pretty happy with it now, and I don't think I'll have too many issues getting it filled up. I want to put a skim of fiberglass along the door where I got this weld, and then a couple welds here, and I've got this spot here that was filled with lead from factory. So I'm just gonna do a skim of fiberglass here and then on this weld here too. So alright, so I got this back panel ready to start filling. The first bit of body fill, I'm going to do like a fiberglass reinforced body fill. I've got some patches in here. I patched the bottom of the tail lights, just made a buck and hammered it out to get the same shape. I patched the side of the tail panel there and up here. Yeah, so that whole area is all been patched. And then someone else had it all hammered in and stretched, so I shrunk it down. So I'll put some fiberglass over that too. And both sides are pretty much the same. I guess the foam from the taillights holds moisture and then rots out the metal around it. Would have been nice to order a tail pan, but of course just everything seems so much more difficult nowadays, and can't get anything, everything's out of stock, shipping's insane, so I just patched her up. When I patched it up though, I actually shaved the seams there, so it's kind of a little custom touch that no one will ever see, but now it doesn't have a big blob of filler or lead in the ends. Alright, so I got the door roughed in. I got some filler on it, fiberglass filler here for the first coat. I'm gonna put some regular body fill on it. What I like to do is imagine like different panels. So there's a body line here, same as on the door. So I'll do a fill through that body line and work at getting that body line to flow good together. The same here, one up here. So I'll just, as far as this filler will take me, I'll fill up the panels. It's gonna be a super fill. Slick isn't the greatest. It's leaving lines in the filler, but I'm gonna get sanded off anyways, so. Okay, this slick sucks. I'm leaving weird streaky things in it. Okay. Not gonna touch anymore. It's starting to dry and pull a little bit as I'm running the slick through it. I don't know if you can see me. Okay, so I'm not gonna touch anymore, except for right here. A little pit. Right here. So as it starts to dry, when you're spreading it on, the body fill will kind of stick to itself and pull, so it won't go on as smooth. So I'm just gonna leave it, block it. If I see that it needs more, I'll block it quickly and just add a little bit more. It's definitely going to need more. This is just the first skim coat kind of thing. See what everything's doing. And like I said, so I do panels. So between this body line and this body line, just work at getting that really flat. Put a little right on this edge here. Need a little bit more material to play with here. So yeah, I'll block across there, get that panel looking good, flowing nicely into the door. I'll do this panel here, this section between the body line and the body line. Get that looking good. I want to blast the fenders up and epoxy them. So I still got to do that. I'm just waiting on some nice weather, but I'll work on getting the body fill on kind of the back half of the car looking good, and then I'll put the fenders on. And I got to mess around with the hinges too, because they're all wore out. So I think I'm gonna make some bushings to put in there and tighten everything up. And yeah, so then I'll get the fenders on and get the hood on and get all the gaps good. And I'll just work on getting these body lines flowing really nice together. I just ran into it with my sweater. Alright, so from having the taillight in here that's got the foam gasket around it, it actually rotted out the bottom of like the back panel here. So I built this patch here and I just squished a little bit of filler in just to cover up hammer marks and kind of give me a little bit of wiggle room to fine tune it a bit. So that's what I'm doing now. All right, so I've got the other side pretty much there. Got a little bit of fine tuning to do. Got a little bit more work to do on the tail pan, but what I want to get a coat of filler on this side. So this is epoxy. It's a pretty good epoxy. It's I like it, at least. It's not bad priced, and it's like thicker. It's not some of the cheap epoxy. It's real thin. So this is Genesis epoxy from Sherwin-Williams. It really stinks, but all epoxy does. So I just want to hit it quick with the DA and 80 just so the filler has something to stick to, but I don't want to sand right through the epoxy. So I'm just trying to rough up a little bit. If I go through the epoxy a touch, it's not a big deal. Honestly, I know that there's kind of a little bit of conversation on whether you can put filler over bare metal or you have to prime it first, or way back in the day you had to prime it. A lot of people would brush primer on and then let it set up and then sand it, then put the filler on. Now every filler I've come across you can put right across bare metal now, especially in like a collision or like regular kind of everyday driver body shop. For restoration, it definitely doesn't hurt to have an epoxy down first just to seal it up. Also, even for the fact that the amount of time that the car is going to be without a top coat, the epoxy will seal it up really good, where the other primers will absorb a little bit. Same with the filler. The filler will absorb moisture, go down to the metal. You could start to have rusting issues underneath. But the epoxy is going to, because it's not going to have a top coat for a long time because of how big the job is, it doesn't hurt to have epoxy underneath. But if you choose not to, I've done it before back in the day where I haven't epoxied it and it's been fine. There's been no issues I've had nothing come back over 20 years of working. So I'm not trying to be controversial there, that's just my opinion. Alright, so I'm going to do a quick little flood of filler here. You know, so how I kind of look at a panel is I look for little panels inside. So there's body line to body line. So I'll focus on making sure I get this section filled. I'll do this bottom section here, and then when I'm blocking it, I'll be blocking from this body line to this body line, trying to get it flat. See what's up here. There's another section through here. So this amount of filler probably won't do everything, but it will definitely at least fill one of the panels. I like steel slicks, but it's hard to find good ones. There's a lot of crappy ones out there. And this is we had a body shop supply guy that came around in a truck, and I bought these off him years ago. He hasn't worked in probably at least 10 years, and yeah, so I bought these off him, and it's hard to find better ones, but just use whatever you're comfortable with. That might be too much. Also, All right, I don't know how much I'm gonna show of this, or how interesting blocking a car it will be, but I've been doing it for a long time, so maybe someone up here is gonna find it more interesting than me. But so I'm gonna, this first coat I'm gonna hit it with 80. Once I get it all roughed in close, I'm gonna hit it with spray body fill. My supplier hasn't got it to me yet, so it probably won't be for this video, but we'll probably spray body fill it in the next video. And I'm not ready for it. I can get ready for it quickly, but so yeah, I'm gonna block it with 80 on a long block, and yeah, wear a mask. I'm gonna put headphones on because it's got a radio in it, and that way YouTube doesn't give me issues with having music playing, and it keeps my ADHD under control and I can focus in. I'm not actually labeled with ADHD. I just have a feeling. Ah! I gotta keep working at this. I gotta turn the camera off. I'll come back and show you where I'm at. Alright, so I've knocked down the first coat of filler here, and I'm just going to kind of show you how I like read a panel to see highs and lows. And it may be obvious for some people, it may not be, so I'll just go over it. So obviously, when you're blocking it off with a flat block and you're hitting down to bare metal, that's going to be a high spot. So as you can see, there's a high spot here, high spot here. In between here, there's a little bit of filler that hasn't been sanded flat, so you know kind of in between there needs to be brought up. So you can put a light skin over that. Same with here, high here, high here. This was the weld that was sitting a little high. I took the, it's not a slapper, it's kind of like a spoon that I got from the Snap-on truck, but I smacked it down with that rather than the body hammer, because the body hammer is going to do big flat, like, or big dents, where if it's kind of spread over it, you're just kind of pushing the whole panel in. So high here, I can see a little edge of filler here, so I'm going to need a little bit of filler through here, and this is low here, so I'm actually going to just fill over this whole section. Looks like it could be low there too, so probably a little low here, low here. You could get like a guide coat powder, or you can spray it with a primer, maybe like a black primer and a spray bomb. Just give it a little dusting, and then when you block over it, you'll be able to see where the block's hitting and where it's leaving the guide coat. The guide coat that gets left is low. Same with here, there's a high spot here, there's low here. I smacked this down a little bit and then blocked over it, and I was sanding through here and got back to the high spot here. So I'm going to need a little bit of filler in here. Right there's the line's a little bit messy. I hammered that down, so I know that. Back here, I don't know if you can see. So back here, starting to hit here, here, and here. Through here, there's still lots of filler, and I can see some little, like the filler hasn't been sanded as much. I can see little dimples in the filler, kind of, like where the slick dragged over. So I'm gonna put a real light coat there. Spray body film might catch that right here on the edge of the door. I mean, here, this one's very obvious. So the edge of the door is high, here's high, and right here the filler's not sanded at all. So I'm gonna put a skim through here too. When I'm filling it, I actually think I'm going to tap that down, so I'm going to put a skim over like that. When I'm filling it, if you just fill to here, you're going to catch a transition, and you're going to create a low spot just on the other side. So it's good to kind of fill past a little bit, scrape it off real thin towards the outside that you're going to be blocking it off a lot, and then you're not just going to be moving a low spot further and further down. A couple little spots there. That's just I should get a round block and kind of go over that, but for right now I'm just gonna put a little bit of filler in it and knock it off, and then I'm gonna have to fill down the rocker eventually too. I think that's about it where I want to fill right here. So I don't know where you're looking. So right there, high spots, high spot, high spot. This is around the fuel tank. It's high here around the fuel tank. I don't know if it's from when factory stamps this in. But I should try and knock that down a little bit, and then fill. Should try and knock that down a little bit, and then fill past. Right here. If I was to guess, I would say that's slightly low because high here, and it's staying in the middle. But honestly, I can slightly feel something, but just barely. So I'm thinking that spray body fill is going to catch that. No problem. Yes, I'll put a little bit of filler on these spots. Yes, I'm gonna put a skim of filler on these, and then I'll let it set up. I'll block some of the stuff off on the other side. Alright, I'm gonna put some filler on these spots I just showed you. My battery is low, so it may die. All right, so I think that's where we're gonna have to leave it for this week. It's Friday. I only got done what I got done, so not much I can do about it. But next week we'll get it kind of buttoned up, get it into its first priming. And by priming, I actually mean I got a what's it, Evercoat feather fill or something like that. It's like a G2 feather fill. It's a high build primer, spray body fill type thing. So I'm gonna get it in that and then give it a good blocking. And we'll work on getting the front end straightened out and put in there. So that's what we're going to do in the next video. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate the subscriptions and the comments and likes on the video. That really helps me out. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. So thanks for watching.